Hello, welcome to this week's video. I've got a mystery piece of wood here today. My brother-in-law gave it to me. He thought it could be poplar, but you know, it wasn't for certain. You know, I think with that green look to it is, and then the white, and this appears to be quite a bit of the heart of it, and this is the sap, but she's pretty gnarly, so I think we're gonna put her on the lathe first. Okay, I've got it mounted between centers, and it could be a little sketch. So I'll take it nice and easy. I'm going to try to stand out of the danger zone as best as I can. And we're just going to nibble away at it and see what kind of shape I might want to be able to put it into, and if I'm going to make a decision on whether I will put some epoxy with it. So fingers crossed that it don't come off the lathe and that it stays together. Let us stop and figure out. We have got a pretty good little knot going through here. Let me just see how thin, much thinner I can go with some of this. I would like to get all the flat spots gone. I've about got that one. That one's got quite a ways to go to get. And I'm afraid I'm going to get so thin here. Let me think about you. Let me sharpen up. We'll make a few more passes at it and see where I'm at. Okay, I do have just a little bit of a flat spot there, but right now I'm okay with this. You know, I would love to turn this natural, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to stop and think about it for a minute. I don't have enough here to create a tenon or a way to hold on to it unless I shrink it way far down. And I just don't know if I'm brave enough yet. And that's okay. Someday, just probably not with this piece. If I do put it in epoxy, I have no clue what kind of a container I've got to, that I'm not going to be wasting a lot of epoxy with it. That's going to be a thinker. Alright, I'm going to bring you guys back in a little bit. Alright, so I got this piece of plastic from the Habitat for Humanity. It was part of a picture. It only cost me a couple of dollars, and I'm going to make, I think, we're going to try this anyway, a mold. Since I've already got this kind of in a shape, I'm not going to have a bucket without wasting a lot of epoxy, and still could happen since I have, this is first time trying this. This is about a millimeter thick, a 1/16 of an inch. And so you can see I broke it whenever I was trying to bend it earlier. So I think I'm going to try to heat it up to help bend it and mold it. I want something stiff enough that it doesn't fall in to this area or this area. So I'm going to start over here on the flatter edge and just heat it up enough to hopefully bend it. And then I may take a hot knife or something and try to cut this off flat. But first I'm going to mold it with the heat gun, and then yeah, then I'll glue it later. Okay, now I'm going to let it cool back down, and hopefully it'll somewhat hold its shape. That way I can hot glue it together, because I still have to clean out the wood. And if that wasn't just an ordeal. Okay, I'll bring you guys back whenever I do something different. Let's Resin Deep Pour. Aqua from Let's Resin Alcohol Ink. And I may use some of their mica powder, depending on what the color looks like. This is the Sinker White by Let's Resin. And I want to make sure, probably going to sink. Let's see if I can make that a little more solid. It's the White Mica by Let's Resin. We'll see if it goes down. Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, demolding was a nightmare. Breaking off into little bitty pieces and all that, and most of the plastic still adhered to the epoxy, which I know some plastics are, their chemical makeup will come near adhering to an epoxy instead of releasing from it, and this is apparently one of those that's gonna adhere to it. I am really hoping that it doesn't just break off into chunks as I'm turning it. Hopefully I can just turn it away instead of little shards flying everywhere. But of course I'll have on all my PPE, you know, my face shield and my respirator and all that stuff to help protect me. Okay, I've had it off the lathe and taken a look at it, you know, setting up there. I think, let me go ahead and take some more of this down and decide, make some decisions after that. You know, I had thought about, I've got this piece that I had turned several years back. Can't remember what kind of wood that is. I'll look it up, and if I decide to use it, and let you guys know at the end of the video. But I thought it might look kind of cool as the lid if I do a enclosed vessel. I don't know, but I do know. Let me flatten this out a little more and see what I think after that. So rearranged my lathe a little bit, pulled it down this way, because I want to use my big tool to hollow out the inside, and I'll show you more about that later. But I think right now I'm going to cut this insert a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to part it off here. That was quite an undertaking. Let's see what kind of mess I made with that. That's just some hard stuff. That's going to take some cleaning up, and so is that.
So, typically I don't stop once I start hollowing. I just keep going at it. But this is wood heavy tool. I am going to give my muzzles a break for a second. I really sort of drilled it out, but I did want to see how this would perform with the epoxy. It seems to be cutting it real nice, so I was worried that I may have tear out. And you know, this wood is pretty hard on the tools, so I'm pretty sure I'm dull. So I'm going to get one of my little cards and sharpen it up, since I'm not real sure how to sharpen it on my grinder. I will just use a card to sharpen it. And I will bring you guys back whenever my muscles have some recovery time. Gave her a little rest. We're going to get back at it. I should hollow it, but I'm being stubborn about that. Sure does feel like concrete right through there. Looks almost like concrete. But we'll keep going. Got my tools sharpened. Okay. Let's see what broke on her. Gravy. Getting overconfident with my big tool. Yep. Yeah, she broke a little And you broke a little. Broke her pretty good. Well, you can see where I got a catch right there. Getting too overconfident. That's what I was doing. Alright, let me see if I can find the pieces and see if we can salvage it. So I glued it back together where it kind of broke, and now I've got my clamp glued to it. Ugh, hopefully. So I'm still missing this chunk and that chunk. I do hate that that's, don't have to have the complete tenon, but I hate that it's all the way down there. So, and then part of this rim right here. Let me see if I can do this without gluing myself to it. Stay in your place, stay in your place. Okay, so I've decided to stick with the tenon and not make a new one. I feel like it's on here pretty sturdy. I am gonna drill out some with the Forstner bit, but and then I am gonna get the big tool back out again. I can't give up on it. Got to get right back up on that horse when it throws you off. So let's get to spinning on this and take out a little bit of the middle. Probably going to be a disaster because it's got a wobble to it.
5-minute epoxy. Well guys, I wasn't sure that we were going to make it with a finished piece. I thought the big story was going to be me trying to use that plastic for a mold. That was a mess. I'm not sure I'll try that method again, at least with that kind of plastic. Anyway, it coming off the lathe was due to me being overconfident with that big tool. I did have it angled a little when I'm supposed to keep it as level as possible, I think. So, and you can get a catch with anything, and that's what happened. I got a catch. So, I wasn't sure whether we would be able to get it back on with the tenon broken, but luckily it wasn't broke so bad that I couldn't glue it back down and get it back on. I wasn't sure that we were going to be able to get a lid out of it with the rim breaking. I did glue the piece back on. So, you know, it's not perfect by any means, but it's a lot better than I imagined it would be. The wood itself is beautiful. I do have some tear out that I sanded and couldn't get rid of, but once it came off the lathe and I put it back on, even it just was still had a lot of flex to it, and that's partly to do, in my opinion, when you have an epoxy tenon, it tends to have a little bit more flex to it, so it is harder to get a good smooth cut, and it's hard to get a good smooth cut with wood that has grain going in all different directions, as this does. You know, but that's also what makes the wood beautiful. Let me bring you up in there and let you see the inside. Here's the outside of it. The bottom. The finial, I believe, is some kind of palm wood. I don't remember exactly what kind of palm wood is. I just remember I turned the actual finial probably 3 years ago or better, and it kept wanting to chunk out. The black seems to be super pointy and sharp, if I remember right. But it does have a cool design on it. Let me bring that up there so you guys can see. If you guys, any of you wood turners out there or anybody else happens to know what kind of wood that is, let me know. And this, of course, is walnut, and it has a few little dings in because it's been around, and I wasn't going to put it back on. I had considered putting it back on the lathe and turning it a little bit, but after the piece came off, I'm like, we ain't got time for all that. Anyway, that was quite the journey. Thanks for staying tuned and finding out if I made it through it, and thanks for stopping by and watching it. I want to tell you guys I appreciate every single one of you for stopping in and watching my videos. It means a lot to me. Also, you know, if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to jump in and subscribe. It's free. There's no expense to it. Leave me a comment down there and you can be entered into my next giveaway. Plus, I love hearing from everyone, and, you know, let me know what you think, how this turned out, and, you know, whether I should get the big tool back out and use it again. Good gravy. Anyway, if you're interested in any of the products that I used this week from Let's Resin, jump on down into the description. There is a discount code, Vicky10, and if you go through my link and use that discount code, you're going to save 10%. Again, thank you for stopping by and watching. I want you guys to have a great day. We're going to throw her in the picture box, and we'll see you on the flip side.